You better pay with the gift cards or we're taking away your driver's license. They're like, I think that's a different apartment. Can you off with the street cleaning? Can you guys hear that? It's so loud. Scams are everywhere nowadays. I myself, that's Dave the writer, or I would never fall for a scam myself. Far too big brains. Almost fell victim to a scammer about 3 months ago while trying to sell my own mobile phone on Facebook Marketplace. Even though I had listed the item as collection only, somebody contacted me and asked me whether or not I would consider posting the phone in exchange for a small cash incentive. That just seems like someone's going to pretend to like PayPal you money or something, and you're going to mail off the phone, and then they're going to have a phone, and you're not going to have any money. Seeing as I have asked people the same question on Marketplace myself, I did not immediately see this as a red flag. After agreeing to the terms and sending over the relevant information, I received a pretty convincing email from a company called Wise that informed me that my payment was on its way. Yeah, a company called Wise. I use Wise. I think do I pay you through Wise or Revolut? Like, Wise and Revolut are these two big companies that allow you to easily do international payments, and they're incredible. Wise is like super legit, but I get the feeling it's going to be a fake email from this company called Wise. Being very familiar with this particular payment company myself, any doubts I might have had about the transaction were assuaged, and I packaged up the phone to take to the post office.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Before I left, it occurred to me that I should probably take a quick look in my online bank account just to make sure that the funds had arrived. I was very glad that I did because they had not. It was not until I took a very careful look at my email receipt that I noticed a few minor differences between this receipt and the 100 or so other that I'd received previously. It was a very well-constructed fake. Although scams such as this have the potential to fool even the most experienced internet veterans, I nearly fell for it and I spent at least a year working in cybersecurity back in the day, there are some scams that appear to be so obvious that you wouldn't believe anybody actually fell for them. In today's episode, we shall have a look at a few of these. The magic moneymaker, Count Victor Lustig, is perhaps one of the most famous scam artists in history. It'd be great to be, like, Count is such a cool title. Like, there's all, there's like Baron and all that shit, but Count? That's legit. That's the one you want. I think it's French, right?
Count Chocula. Biffle.
Have you ever felt the frustration of being blocked from your favorite websites while traveling? Well, meet your new internet hero, Surfshark VPN. Imagine it. You're in a cafe in Paris. You're craving a binge section of your favorite show, but geo restrictions strike, and that's where Surfshark comes in. Surfshark doesn't just solve this problem, it flips the script on your internet limitations. Plus, it also protects you while you're online. It's not just a VPN, it's your digital bodyguard. But what does Surfshark really do? Well, it's a mask for your online identity, encrypting your data so that even internet snoops can't see what you're up to. Virtually travel the world with one click, connect to servers worldwide, unblock websites and streaming platforms like you should be able to. Plus, if you love online shopping, Surfshark gives you the best deals no matter your location. No more paying extra just because of where you are. Plus, Surfshark keeps you safe on public networks, no need to worry about prying eyes. Plus, there's Surfshark Alert, which monitors your data, antivirus, which keeps your device virus-free, and Surfshark Search, which lets you browse the web without a trace. With more than 3,200 servers, GPS spoofing, a bypasser, and more, Surfshark is a powerhouse of privacy and security features. And guess what? Being private doesn't have to break the bank. Visit surfshark.deals/blaze and use the promo code BLAZE and unlock a special holiday season deal, 6 additional months for free. So for a secure and private online life, make Surfshark a seamless part of your internet adventures. Use the promo code BLAZE at surfshark.deals/blaze for that great holiday season deal. Thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring, and now back to today's episode. I know for a fact, as we have covered at least one of his previous scams on this channel, successfully selling the Eiffel Tower twice, but today we're going to talk about one of his others. The scam, which would later become known as the Magic Moneymaker, was perhaps not as profitable as twice selling France's most famous iconic landmark, but due to the fact that he could perform it again and again with relative ease, it became his most lucrative swindle. So, how did it work? Using the services of a carpenter in New York, Lustig had constructed several fancy wooden boxes, complete with a crank mechanism and several drawers. Whenever he decided that his funds were running low, he'd book himself onto a luxury cruise or install himself in a fancy casino for a week or two. Among his items of luggage, he would of course include one of his fancy wooden boxes. But what did these boxes do? Well, to the outside observer, they were magical indeed if Lustig put a $1,000 bill. Holy shit, that exists. I know they exist, but these were in circulation back in the day? Into the crank mechanism and turn the handle, the bill would disappear inside the machine to undergo a complicated chemical process. 6 hours later, it opened the drawer at the other end of the machine and retrieved 2 perfect $1,000 bills.
Oh my God! Wow!
Although he would pretend to be incredibly secretive about the existence of this machine, once he had appeared to consume a large amount of champagne, his ambitions would be lowered and he would agree to demonstrate it to whichever wealthy person had befriended him most recently. Oh, shit. Also, wait. Don't bills have serial numbers? And if it's copying it, you'd expect it to have the same serial number. And I assume it's not actually a copy, but two legit bills because he's going to fake selling the machine, right? He's going to sell the machine to the rich person. And it's obviously not going to work. But aren't they going to be like, well, it's got different serial numbers. How did it do that?
I play the magic card Pot of Greed. It allows me to draw 2 cards from my deck.
His new friends, presumably also under the influence of the aforementioned champagne, would invariably be impressed with this incredible and literal money-making scheme, and as the evening went on, they would usually offer to purchase his wonderful box. Being somewhat of a master when it came to scams, Lustig would initially refuse, saying that the machines were incredibly complicated to make, and he doubted that anybody would be prepared to pay enough money for it to be worth him making a new one. How dumb do you have to be? It's a machine that literally prints money. However, he would eventually capitulate and sell his device for an exorbitant fee. Now, this is where it gets clever. Obviously, the box was not capable of creating perfect duplicates of large denomination banknotes, but due to the fact that the process took 6 hours and that Lustig helpfully installed at least one high denomination banknote within the machine, ensuring that it would appear to work at least once, by the time his mark realized they'd been scammed, he was at least 12 hours away. Presumably, if he was on a cruise ship, he'd withhold the sale of the device until the vessel had docked. Can you imagine just being on the cruise ship and it's like there's a storm? And you're like, oh, I gotta hide on the cruise ship. And cruise ships back in the day were a lot smaller. Like, I feel like you could easily hide on a modern cruise ship because they're like the size of a town. As an added bonus, even when the victim became aware that they'd been scammed, very few of them were prepared to walk up to the nearest police station and say, oh, hello there, I tried to buy a counterfeiting machine. Unfortunately for Lustig, one of his victims, a Texan sheriff, did pursue him for over 900 miles all the way to Chicago. When the sheriff finally caught up to him, Lustig not only convinced him that there was nothing wrong with the box and he was just operating it incorrectly, but he even offered to return his money. He would later be arrested by the Secret Service and would die awaiting trial. Cost of living payment scam. Imagine, if you will, if you lived in a country where the government had cut benefits, cut funding to the National Health Service, and had just generally gone out of their way to destroy the economy in many ways as is humanly possible. Now imagine that this self-same government decided to hand out a few £100s a year to some of those people who they'd most grievously impoverished with their incompetence. In general terms, these payments were largely the equivalent of standing on the roof of your house and attempting to extinguish the sun with your own piss. However, something is marginally better than nothing, I guess, and to that end, the UK government set about issuing cost of living payments. In a marginal improvement to the system, these payments were paid directly into the bank accounts of those individuals who were entitled to them. You might think that this was the only sensible way to go about this, and given that the government already had the details of those people who were entitled to the payments, you'd be right. Wait, how else would they do it? They're not sending checks. It's a little envelope with cash from the government. However, previous goodwill gestures, like the pittance that the government gives to a lucky few pensioners every year to help ensure that they don't freeze to death, had until very recently had to be actively applied for rather than, just added to the amount that these individuals received in their pensions. Yes, it's a bit sketchy, isn't it? It's like, would you like this money? Well, you got to apply for it. It's like, you already know that I'm entitled to this money. You already have my details. You're the government. Just send me the money. And they're like, no, you got to fill out the form, because they know that just a few people are not going to fill out the form. Like, I don't know. And that's kind of fine. Like, I'm sure there's like government benefits and stuff that I'm just like, with kids and I'm always just like, no, I don't care. I'm not going to fill out the form because I don't need the money. It was this historical alleged government incompetence that allowed the next scam to work so effectively. Slightly adapting the I would like to pay a huge amount of money into your bank account email scam, criminals began contacting some of the most vulnerable members of society via text message, or in some cases, even old-fashioned landline calls. They would... Hello? Yes, this is the Smith residence. Landlines. I don't even think my parents have a landline anymore.
Hi. Get downtown. Bye.
They would inform their victims that in order to receive their cost of living payment, they would need to hand over bank account numbers, sort codes, card details, etc. Bank account numbers and sort codes? Fine. That's how you get money paid in. Card details? No. That's how money goes out. Sadly, possibly due to delirium brought on by hunger or freezing cold, many people did exactly that and were very quickly relieved of any amount of money that they did happen to have. At this point, you might be thinking, well, why was this scam obvious, Dave? I mean, you already told us that previous alleged government incompetence made it believable. And to you, I say, excellent question. However, even if we leave aside the general rule that you should never give any sensitive information to a cold caller ever, there was a massive awareness-raising campaign to prevent this from happening. Yeah, this is... Did I tell this story already? I got a phone call from my bank the other day, and they were like, "Hi, yeah, we just need to confirm something about your mortgage." And I'm like, no, I'm good. And they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, you're always telling me not to like give information over the phone if I get a random phone call." And they're like, "Well, okay, we do need to discuss this." And I'm like, "All right, well, send me a letter." You got to do something else, because I'm not going to randomly tell someone who just phoned me all this information that you want. And then they're like, "Oh." And I'm like, you can't be upset at me for something that you're always telling me to do, bank.
I just got myself. Sorry, what? Bahala.
The letter that informed people they were receiving the benefit told people that it would be paid directly into their accounts. People like money-saving experts spent a huge amount of money taking out adverts on various social media platforms telling people that there was a scam in progress and not to give out personal information. There were signs on the sides of buses. The Department of Work and Pensions sent people text messages and emails warning them about it. And although I don't have live television in my house, I have heard that there were even television adverts about it. I haven't seen TV adverts in years. Because I don't have a TV, like... TV receiver, digital thing. I don't even know what it is these days. I don't have that. I just have Netflix and the streaming things. Even the least tech-savvy people had little excuse for falling for this, but tragically, thousands did. The only reason I can think of why there was such a high number of victims are that some of the payments were delayed, so people may have been inclined to believe that the original plan may have changed, and in some cases, people were in such desperate need for the money that they were slightly less suspicious than they would originally have been. The Hitler Diaries. Although the only real victims of this scam were a newspaper publishing company and a few historians, had it been successfully completed, Holocaust deniers would have been provided with a great deal more illegitimate ammunition. So, what's the story? Konrad Kujau began his career as a forger at a very early age. While living in East Germany, he wrote his own recommendation for promotion within the Young Communist League, and after this was successful, he decided to continue his career as a small-time forger. After making his way to West Germany in 1957, he would quickly receive his first conviction for producing counterfeit food vouchers. This minor brush with the law did nothing to dissuade future criminality, and by the 1970s, Kujau had moved on to a far more lucrative undertaking. He began selling his own paintings as the work of failed artist and notable vegetarian Adolf Hitler. Although this particular career choice might appear to be doomed from the outset, in reality it was relatively risk-free. Anybody interested in purchasing Nazi memorabilia would, quite understandably, not want to draw attention to themselves, and was therefore unlikely to demand proof of the painting's authenticity from any reputable expert. The other thing is, Hitler was a bit shit at painting, so he doesn't even have to be good. It's like if you're forging a Rembrandt or something, you've got to be bloody good at painting. It's like you should be an artist. Whereas forging one of Hitler's paintings, you're like, well, you just got to be good enough to apply to art school. However, Kujau was not stopped there. Having discovered just how much money could be made from producing fake Hitler memorabilia, he began to work on a much more ambitious project, The Lost Diaries of Hitler, using a copy of Max Domarus's anthology, Hitler, Speeches and Proclamations, 1932 to 1945. He hastily produced several volumes of the diary, which, had they been genuine, would have necessitated a complete rewriting of the history books. Among other things, the diary claimed that Hitler had no idea what happened to the Jews at the concentration camps, and that he was particularly troubled by Eva Braun's constant complaints that he had bad breath. Once the diaries...
Coach is a bum. Oh, bloody hell!
Oh my god. Once the diaries were completed, Kujau used tea to artificially age the covers and then set about looking for a buyer. Posing as an antiques dealer, he was able to successfully sell the diaries to Gerd Heidelmann, a journalist for Stern magazine who was known to have an unhealthy interest in anything Nazi-related. Along with the diaries, Kujau also provided the story that they had been found in the wreckage of a plane crash in 1947 and had been hidden away before being rediscovered. Unsurprisingly, the magazine went crazy over this discovery and employed two historians to verify the validity of these diaries. Surely, they're historians. They're gonna pretty much immediately be like, it's fake. Unfortunately, the book that these historians used to fact-check the content was the very same one used by Kujau when creating the forgeries. And this led them to believe that the work was indeed genuine. Historians! Get a scientist as well! So it'll be like, it seems that these pages are stained with tea. That's how you age when you're aging paper in primary school. Furthermore, when the diaries were examined by handwriting experts, the handwriting was proven to be an exact match. There was an incredibly simple reason for this. The handwriting samples that were used as comparisons were also forged by Kujau. That's incredible, Kujau. Kudos to you. Believing that they had taken appropriate measures, Stern held a press conference to announce their incredible findings. The press conference would result in a request from the German Federal Archives who wished to examine the diaries, and it was at this point that the entire hoax was exposed. Their examination revealed that the diaries had been written on modern paper using modern ink and contained information that Hitler could not possibly have known about. This is a very risky business. Like, faking Hitler's paintings and stuff and selling those, sure, but something of such historical note is going to undergo incredible scrutiny. And again, you're staining it with tea. You're not even using old paper from old books and like old ink you've sourced to do it. You're just staining it with tea. It's not a brilliant forgery.
Yo, it's tea.
On top of this, nobody seemed to have noticed that due to his unfamiliarity with Gothic letters, Kujau had accidentally mistaken the letter F for an H, and when he purchased a pack of these letters to stick onto the diaries, he used the initials FH rather than AH. As soon as the forgery was discovered, both Kujau and Heidelmann were arrested, and although Heidelmann would later be released, Kujau would end up spending 4.5 years in prison. That's pretty heavy for forgery. Given the vast amount of money that the magazine paid for these diaries, you'd think that it would at least have checked the initials were correct. You would think so. The IRS gift card scam. This particular scam has taken many forms over the years, but its latest incarnation appears to involve instigators pretending to be representatives of the IRS. So, how does it work? Imagine, if you will, the following. You're sitting at home in your underpants on your day off. You plan to cook something nice for lunch, but in reality, you're eating bread directly from the bag. What's going on in your life, Dave? Dipping it in anything runnier than bread. Life is, in short, great. Sadly, your day is about to be ruined by an unexpected tax demand. Oh no! Your phone rings, you answer it, and a serious-sounding individual informs you that you're due to repeated. And a serious-sounding individual informs you that due to your repeated failure to settle your tax bill, you're about to be arrested by local law enforcement.
Oh, crap. Am I going to be upbeat? Arrested?
They'll send you a letter. No one's like, hello, just like, although my bank phoned me up and were like, hello. So maybe they do. But I get the feeling they're going to be like, you need to send us gift cards. Government doesn't work that way. They just don't. Don't send anyone gift cards. There's these great YouTube channels where they explore like the Indian call center scammers and stuff. And they're always asking for gift cards. And it's like, how? Like, gift cards? Really? Confused, you explain that to your best of your knowledge, you have no such unpaid bill. However, the voice on the other end of the phone is insistent and tells you that there's been some sort of mistake, you will be entitled to a full refund once you have successfully appealed. If this happened to me, I'd be like, accountant, what's going on? That's so little information. I'd be like, this sounds like you've messed something up. And they'll be like, it's a scam. And I'll be like, okay, I'm sorry that I jumped down your throat. My bad. Unfortunately, procedures are now so far along that the only way to prevent your imminent arrest is to settle the bill now. Realizing that being arrested would necessitate putting on clothes and giving up the rest of the day on the sofa, you agree. After all, like the voice on the phone said, you can always get your money back later.
Just don't do it!
What are credit cards for anyway? To your surprise though, the IRS debt collection department will not accept your credit card. Instead, they instruct you to go to your nearest store, purchase gift cards to the value of your debt, and provide them. They're cleaning the street outside my office today, which is very annoying because there's no parking anywhere. They've decided that not only are they going to clean the street outside my office, but all of the other streets as well. So I've parked illegally on the curb, and I'm definitely going to get a ticket, but I guess I just have to be okay with that because I don't want to walk like half an hour to my office from wherever the nearest parking is. And it's all full anyway, because everyone from this area has decided to park everywhere else. There's no parking. Clean one street at a time, for fuck's sake. Sorry, rant over. Also, gift cards, what the
Daddy, chill.
If you're thinking that this scam is not even sophisticated enough to fool even the most obtuse Floridian, then unfortunately, you're wrong. It's just a numbers game. Like 999 people of 1,000 they phone up, they're going to be like, yeah, fuck off, mate. Or they're just going to phone back the number on the website. But 1 in 1,000 people are going to be old or stupid and be like, oh yeah, I guess I'll go get those Amazon gift cards right now and I'll mail them across to you. Oh, your address is in India, is it? Okay. So many people have fallen for it that over the years, the IRS has found it necessary to include warnings against it on their actual website. According to a section of irs.gov entitled how taxpayers can tell if it's really the IRS calling. The IRS will never call to demand immediate payment using a specific payment method, such as a gift card, prepaid debit card, or wire transfer. Wire transfer is the most legitimate sounding one. Because, like, when you pay for stuff like this, it usually is a bank transfer. Generally, the IRS will first mail a bill to any taxpayer who owes taxes, threaten to bring in local authorities, immigration officers, or other law enforcement to have the taxpayer arrested for not paying, or threatening to revoke the taxpayer's driver's license. You better pay with the gift cards, or we're taking away your driver's license. But like, I think that's a different apartment. Can you f*** off with the street cleaning? Can you guys hear that? It's so loud. Business licenses or immigration status. The fact that this message is even necessary, and by the way, there are similar warnings on the UK government website, is a scathing indictment of the global education system as a whole. It is pretty bad. Don't do gift cards. No gift cards, it's obviously dodgy. Thanks for watching. Six hours later, it opened the drawer at the other end of the machine and retrieved two perfect $1,000 bills.